I think the biggest role is to be honest, fair, impartial, and to be willing to take the time to read the law, read the statutes, listen, because you're going to have two sides. There's always, as one friend of mine that was a justice said to me, there's always actually three sides to the story, the defense, the prosecution, and the truth. And somewhere in the middle, you've got to figure out what that is based on what's presented to you, and you have to understand what the actual law is as well. And so it becomes, when you're looking at statute, you have to know what those statutes are that are being brought before you. You have to be willing to take the time to do the research. My original degree is in biology, so research methods are not a problem for me at all. I'm a strong researcher. I'm an avid reader. So for me, those are things that you have to bring to the table, and that I do bring to the table. Also, I think you have to be a good reader of people, and if you can't read people, there are some people that get suckered every day. And you know, Senator McComish mentioned about some of the examples of things that he had seen in the courts, and I've also been in the courts myself, as far as a juror, as far as an observer, as far as having taken on cases as a business owner, because sometimes you get people that don't pay, or you have situations. I've been a landlord as well, and so those are, again, areas where I've been involved and seen. In, for instance, with the landlords, you have a Landlord-Tenant Act, and you have to know, what applies, what doesn't apply, as opposed to just, gee, I feel this way. No, you have an actual handbook that you kind of need to be able to go by, and that's something that I feel I'm very, very capable of and very good at.
First of all, I don't disagree with anything that Darryl said about the role. I would.
So you're going to endorse me?
No. I didn't go that far. I agree with what you said about the role. I think it's three things. The first is as I mentioned before, the decision making. And as a legislator and as a corporate executive in a previous life, you have to weigh things, and we have to do that all the time in the last 10 years that I've been spending in the legislature, because you've got this lobbyist presenting this case and this lobbyist presenting that case, and you have to be able to discern what's the truth and what's fair and just. So I think that's a tremendous role, is being able to take in that information and then discern what's the right thing to do from there. And I certainly have experience doing that. The other thing is that a JP deals with only certain narrow areas of the law. And so I think the role is to become an expert in those narrow areas. You don't have to know everything, but you do need to become an expert in those areas that are going to be presented to you. So I think that's the second thing in terms of a role. And the third thing I tried to allude to earlier, and I'm going to call it the decorum of a court, the process. I think if a stranger is sitting in a court, he or she needs to be looking at the judge and how the court is handled and how it's run and the decisions and the methods that they would be proud that's how it should be run. That's how we should do things, so that you get a feeling that so that the people involved get a feeling that it's run properly and that the decisions are fair.